Hi, in this video we're going to look at how to create games in PowerPoint using hyperlinks. Now this is something a teacher can do in advance for review or to introduce material, or something you can have students do, both as a way to consolidate their own learning, building a game, maybe something that they're interested in or find fun, or having them build some of these games that you can use for the future. So let's take a look. First of all, I've started with a PowerPoint with a title slide. The format of the slide isn't really important here, but since it gives you a title slide to start with, that's the one I'll start with. I'll add a little content. Now, I know that a lot of us would now get to the point of formatting. We could add a design, we could choose color schemes, and at times people will highlight and actually change the colors in here. There's a better way to do that, and let's look at that under design. Okay, these are various design schemes that you can apply universally to the presentation. So let's start with fonts. And you can see that these are just combinations of text. So if I pick Georgia, this is in Georgia. And because it's listing out all the same, okay, it's Georgia in the title slide, it's Georgia down at the bottom in the content area, that's what will be applied, just in different sizes, etc. And you can see that in certain cases there are different combinations, like Arial black, but then down in the body it will actually be Arial. And you could customize these if you wanted. So you could say up at the top, I'm going to pick Goudy Stout, and then in the body I'm going to pick I don't know, Hightower Text. That'll apply those for you. Okay, for simplicity in this case, and now that I've added my fonts, you can see I have a custom font up at top. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to keep it at the default for now. The other thing that I can do under variants, or one other thing I can do, is to pick a color scheme. And you can see that we have a color scheme I played with before. I'm going to delete that. Right click and delete. Say yes. And I am going to immediately go into custom colors. And each of these colors represents a different element on the slide, such as text background, either light or dark combinations, etc. But what I'm interested in here is the hyperlinks. So I happen to know that later on I'm going to be creating boxes. These boxes with a dark blue. So I'm going to make my hyperlinks white. That's going to be the color of all my text actually that you see on the page is white. But the followed hyperlink, something that people have already clicked on, I'm going to make that yellow. And that's so people can see what they've already clicked on. So you can see here, it's adjusting these previews to show you what it's going to look like. I'm going to call this, I'm going to give it a special name and say save, and now I've got that color scheme saved over here. That's the office theme, there we go. If I go back into colors, you can see that it's on top, that I can select it if I want. Since I have already created a series of slides here, I want to right click on that and say apply it to all slides. Okay, and you can see that I've already created additional slides for this presentation. Now in this case I see that these have bullets and I don't particularly want to have the bullets. I can get rid of them simply by clicking on it and getting rid of them there. There is a faster, easier way to do this. That's to work with the slide master, and we'll look at that in another video. But for now, we'll be forced to do it the slow way. Okay, great. Now, turns out I don't want any text there. As a matter of fact, even though it's provided me with this title block and this subtitle block, you can see on most of the slides I've got a title block and this content underneath, but since it's provided them for me, that doesn't mean that I need to use them. So I can always just click on one if I want and delete it. You can also insert things like text boxes, but be aware that if you do, it's not the same as title box. Okay, and so there are going to be disadvantages to doing that. It's better to use the boxes they provide for you when you start. Okay, let's do a little formatting now. First thing I'd like to do is I'd like to click on my title box here, go to Format, and you can see that these have to do with the fill of the object or the box itself. These settings have to do with the text. So if I go to Shape Fill, I can pick a dark blue color. Which one? Let's go with that one. And I can also pick, let me highlight the text in here, I can set this to white. I can resize it, both horizontally, like this, and vertically as I did before. Also, just because the text exists in the same box doesn't mean it needs to have the same properties. So even though this text is 60, perhaps I'll bring the subtitle down a little bit in size. I can make that particular part italic if I want. Any of those things. Okay, still fairly simple, basic slide, so I'd like to pretty it up a little bit. I'm going to go to Design and Format the background. Now, I've previously gone out and saved a series of pictures, so I'm going to choose Picture, and then it gives me either a picture or a texture, and by default it gives me a texture. But I'm going to go to Insert Picture from File and just select the picture that I previously saved, and there you go. Now it's starting to look a little better. The only thing I'd like to do is set off this box a little more, so I'm going to go back to Format. This time I'll go to the Shape Outline. I'll give it a white outline, and then I'll maybe increase the width of that outline until I like it. Okay, you can take this box, you can drag it wherever you'd like. So there we go. Now, when I come to my second slide, it's not necessary that I do all of that formatting again. One of the things that I can do is I can come onto this box. Oops, let me adjust the height a little bit there. I can come up to a box I've already formatted. Here we go. I can select that box and I can click Format Painter. If I click it once, I get to use it once. So if I click on this, the formatting comes through for the most part. The sizing I'll have to do by myself. But if I come in and I double click that Format Painter, it will remain on and I can use it multiple times. I'm just going to make it easy for me to do this. Okay, now since I no longer want the Format Painter, I'm going to hit Escape. I'm going to see that the size, etc. was good for my title blocks, and some of the settings are good for my content blocks, but not all of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the size. Let's go with 36 maybe. Yeah, 36 is fine. I'm also going to left align it. There you go. And I will do the same with this. I will make these 36 left aligned. Maybe reduce the size of that to adjust the spacing. And now I'm going to take this box and go back and apply these modified settings to the other elements of my presentation. I'm going to pause the video for a second and just adjust the sizes and positions of a couple of these. Okay, so I've made those adjustments. The only thing I really need to do here is put some pictures in. And you can see that if you've got your pictures organized, if you've got it sort through, it's not a very time-consuming process. It will take a little bit of work to make one of these. But if it's something that you do frequently from year to year, it can be worth it. It's the students certainly enjoy it. There are also some templates available online. I do have to caution you when you search for templates to be careful. Sometimes they include macros, which are not in and of themselves evil, but you've got to be sure of your source to make sure that you're not being infected with a virus or something along those lines. So you do have to be a little cautious when downloading free stuff. Okay, there you go. Okay, now let's go ahead and start with our hyperlinks. Okay, I'm going to take this word true and I want to hyperlink that down to, since this is true, to the correct answer. So I'm going to insert, there it is, hyperlink, and you can see that the wording from the titles is here. That's why it's important to use a title block and to put something in that's distinctive. If there were a series of questions, I would put question 1, question 2, something like that so that I could find it easily when I was doing my links. So I'm going to link that to correct. Let's give it a try. I'm just going to hit my F5 key to start the presentation. There's true. Click. And it gets me to my correct slide. Let's go to the correct slide, take continue, and I'm going to hyperlink that to success since this is only a 1 question quiz. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take false, and I'm going to put that to incorrect, and then I'm going to go to incorrect, and I'm going to hyperlink that back to the question so that they can try again. Let's see how the whole thing works. And that would bring me to the end. But if I do hit come on. But if I do hit the wrong answer, I'll go to try again, and try again will bring me back. Now, the reason that my colors haven't changed here is because of the way I applied the styles. I highlighted them and then put the styles over the top. So that did save me some time, but what it did is it overrides the colors here. So if I wanted to do that, I guess I could. To do it quickly, I would have to not apply color to the things that were going to become hyperlinks. So if I don't apply color to things that become hyperlinks, then let me get in there. Then this yellow and white would take effect. Okay, so something to keep in mind. That's the basics of making a PowerPoint. I can show you another example. Here's a simple Jeopardy game. And you can see that if I click on it, I'm going to go to Category 1, Question 1, and this is where I would customize this and put my actual question. Clicking again brings the answer up, and clicking on the top box brings us back to the board where the visited hyperlink has now turned red. So this is a template that I did get online. You can create this. You can see it's with some formatting. It wouldn't be too hard to create yourself, but that's a time saver. And over here you can edit these categories and questions simply to customize a PowerPoint to anything you want, the Jeopardy game. As I said, there are other types of games online, but be careful when you download. Make sure and keep your computer safe.